Welcome to the Headspace and Tasting Podcast, where we talk manhood, tell stories, and discuss the stuff that matters to us one sip at a time.
Brittany Hanson is a writer and storyteller passionate about crafting raw, emotionally driven narratives. Her debut series, The Wanderer Trilogy, is a post-apocalyptic saga that explores survival, identity, and the haunting power of inner darkness. What began as a personal outlet during a difficult childhood evolved into a story she couldn't stop writing, a world where broken people find purpose and even the most haunted souls still have something worth fighting for. Hello, Matt.
All right. I'm excited for this one. Our guest today, Brittany Hanson, is joining us down in the basement studio. Welcome, Brittany.
Thank you guys for having me.
Hello.
This is awesome.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming. And a published author.
Yep.
You have actually sold books, which
I'm
is
up
pretty
to,
cool.
Yeah, 100. I think
100?
a little over 100 maybe.
Yeah, that's awesome. This is self-published, right?
Self-published, yep.
Awesome.
Yeah, but the cool thing is she is listed at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, and several others. eBay, I've seen already. So you're all over the place.
Yep. A lot of research.
Marketing machine.
Trying to be.
So you're doing it all yourself?
Yes.
Everything all by yourself?
Yep.
Wow, that's pretty great. Okay, I want to dive in because I haven't read the books yet. Kevin has.
Yep.
And I'm trying to hold back because I want, like, somebody who has not read the book, what is it about?
So it's very character driven. There's a lot of morally gray characters in this trilogy and in the world itself. With any dystopian trilogy, you kind of have to have that because they're, I always say that all the good people have died. The people that are surviving are the ones that are pushing the envelope and,
okay.
things like that. So main character is a female warrior known as the Wanderer, and she carries two very famous silver blades that are curved, and people know her by that. They don't always know who she is or who, some people don't know if she's a man or a woman. Some people think she's just a legend. And she has a past that kind of won't let her go. And it's kind of, she finds two brothers in a vault that was sealed about 250 years ago, which was when the war was that kind of ended everything, civilization as they knew it. And once that she finds these brothers, they kind of change her whole idea of survival because she's very much a lone wolf, and secrets start coming out, and then there's more layers as the story progresses. So there's a lot of, it starts out more like man versus society, man versus man, and then becomes more man versus self as the trilogy kind of progresses.
Okay. So the book starts 250 years after this cataclysmic event.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, a world war.
Okay.
Yep.
Known as the War of Rebirth.
War of Rebirth. Oh.
Which I was going to ask you. So how did you determine it to be called the War of Rebirth?
I always thought of like, a phoenix, like coming up from the ashes. And I think that, there's kind of that from maybe a standpoint of governments, they're thinking if we wipe everything out, we can start over. And I kind of thought, maybe that would be, a War of the Phoenix would be too on the nose or something like that. So I thought of, synonym of that.
But I had a feeling.
Yeah.
When did this idea for this trilogy, did it always start out as a trilogy, or was it just a book that got really long and you're like, oh, I got to break this down into 3 books? Or
I did break it down as a trilogy.
Okay.
The first book was very, very much written, like in my head when this idea kind of came about. The second book was kind of more gray, and I thought maybe I can just kind of push myself forward and just write it. And when I got to the third book the first time when I wrote it 10 years ago, I kind of stopped because I didn't know where I wanted to go. And I didn't know how to evolve the character as deeply as I wanted. I didn't know how to get to her end that I wanted and be visceral enough. So it was intended to always be a trilogy, but I wasn't able to write it until I got to a certain point in my life because the character is very much a part of me in a way. And I had to get, through a certain level of healing myself to be able to do that for the character and give her the end that she deserves.
Well, I guess it's a good way to kind of push everything back to the beginning.
Yeah.
What got you interested to even start writing to begin with?
So I was 12, and we called it computer class at the time. And since they, we didn't have computers in the classroom, we had specific class.
Yeah.
And they had a poetry contest where they had paid, I guess, ahead of time to have all these poems published for all the students. And they get the book and they're looking through it and they're like, checking people's names off, and mine's missing. And they're like, well, where's yours? And I'm like, I have no idea. So I ended up checking my email at the time. I was the one person that had like an email in like sixth grade. And I had found out that I had been chosen for the adult category.
Oh.
So I have the book somewhere, can't find it. But that was like a click for me. Like, wow, okay, I am good at this. Like, this is kind of fun, and then it kind of transpired to, I was doing fan fictions for a long time and like short stories, but nothing that I was ever really passionate about. And like, I took other people's worlds and kind of made it my own, and I didn't love that. And then this kind of became an epiphany at one point, and I'm like, okay, this is something I feel like I can grow with.
Okay.
So I like studying the styles and the patterns and whatever anyone does as far as authors go on how they go about writing. I know like Ernest Hemingway, he was all about writing 500 words a day, first thing in the morning, and then he was done by, like noon, 2 in the afternoon, and the rest of the day was, in the evening, was all about him and hanging out with friends and drinking.
Drinking and fishing.
Right. And then Stephen King was completely different. His was all about writing 1,000 to 2,000 words a day and doing it every single day.
Yeah.
Without fail.
Right.
What's yours? What was your style?
I like to wing it.
Just whatever you feel like that day?
I try to hold myself to at least doing something every day.
Okay.
I feel like if I hold myself too strict, I psych myself out and, become disheartened if I don't hit that goal.
Yeah.
Especially being, a full-time employee, a mom, a wife, trying to exercise and all the other things that, I try to do in my life. So I try to do at least 30 minutes a day. That's the goal. But if I don't hit it, at least I get something done. Okay. The weekends I will take, especially the weekends I don't have my daughter, I'll take like 2-3 hour chunks and just, lock in and edit or write or whatever. It just depends on the day too, because sometimes, the words are just flowing and I just keep going. So I just kind of go with what I feel like.
So overall, you're about time management when it comes to writing versus number of words or things like that.
Yeah. So I will, on my calendar for, in my head, for example, I'll say, okay, this period of time is what I'm blocking out and dedicating towards writing. So phone goes away, I lock in with my computer that doesn't have any games on it, and I'll just write.
That's interesting that you say you every now and then you'll be the flow just keeps going and you keep on writing. Ernest Hemingway always said that if he had something that's going on, he'd rather stop writing knowing that there's something still happening because he knows where he picks up when he gets back to it. And it sounds like you kind of keep pushing the edge.
Yeah, I feel like I'm one of those people, if I don't get it on paper, it's going to be gone. Either I'll have my notes or whatever, but to me, it's all about mindset. And if I'm in the writing mindset and the juices are flowing, I might as well squeeze as much as I can out of it at the time.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a little bit different. I think every author has a different process. And what I kind of tell people who are wanting to write books and don't know where to start is just do it. However you want to do it, do it.
So do you prepare by character development and note-taking, or is it everything's in your head and you just kind of let it flow and develop as you write?
My outlines for books run about 3 to 4 pages. That's it. And that is, kind of the flow of how I want the whole story to be, some character development that I want to happen. But because the world is so very much alive inside of my mind, I feel like it just kind of comes to me at the time. That's the best way I have plot twists like kind of, come up. So it really, I think it's more like just living in the moment. I have basic notes. I don't hold myself to those notes because I kind of let the story take itself where it needs to go.
Well, you just answered my second question, because I was going to ask you, if you had this outline, is that how you're letting it flow, or suddenly you're going, oh wait, this can go a completely different direction than what I had written down to begin with?
Yeah, and that has happened even with the little, 3-4 pages. That's happened where I'm like, oh, I can take this way darker or something like that. And so I kind of change things up a little bit, and then I end up not using my outline hardly at all. So just depends.
I guess the outline is still gives you a kind of a jump start, though. Like,
Yeah.
get your mind going.
Yep.
And then once you are on the road, you're like, I think I'm going to turn left here.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
With the trilogy, though, with like your story arc, did you like go all the way to the end of the third, or did you just do the first and then you're like, oh, this is a trilogy, I'm going to do
Yeah.
3 different arcs, or how did you work that?
I want to say, at least from what I've heard from like other authors, we kind of all do similar things where it's like, we know the beginning,
Yeah.
we know the end, what the heck is going to go in the middle?
Okay.
I kind of had an idea of where I wanted to go. I didn't want it to be a standard character arc that you would think, oh, there's a happy ending or something like that, or an ending that's expected. So the
Okay.
idea is to get people guessing until the very end of the third book. And I was trying to figure out the best way to do that. So I had the beginning, I had the end, and try to figure out the middle was the hard part.
Okay.
So thinking of book number 1,
Yep.
Purpose,
Yep.
right? One of the things I kind of chuckled at myself as got into really reading it and got past chapter 1 into chapter 2 is I told myself I should have maintained a body count, because I was going, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It reminded me a little bit, and I'm not saying they're similar, but it reminded me a little bit of the movie series The Equalizer.
Yeah. Okay.
And there was even
That's a lot of bodies.
right, and there was even one particular paragraph. I think it came out of chapter 1 actually. Which, by the way, none of your books have page numbers.
I noticed that after it was published. So after the third book, I promise, like the first standalone book will have page numbers, because as you're doing everything by yourself, you have like a deadline and you're doing all this editing and then, formatting, and totally forgot to check
Brittany,
that box.
you
I
should have
know.
said it was on purpose.
Yeah. Oh,
It's
Well,
to
I-
keep
Right,
you
it's
confused.
dystopian.
It keeps you
Yeah.
drawn into the story.
that's
Right.
the other
It's
thing.
dystopian.
You and one other person are the only ones that have noticed that.
Well,
Everyone
the
else,
biggest thing with me noticing it is I'm trying to take notes,
Yeah.
and I'm going, all right, I can't reference the page numbers, so I guess I'll just copy the entire paragraph or start putting
it'll
bookmarks
make
all
it
over the
stick
place.
better.
Yeah.
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 Little
You'll be thinking
tabs.
about it more.
So I'm not going to read this whole paragraph, but this was one of the things that made me think of the body count in the movie Equalizer, and I think it came out of chapter 1. Time dragged endlessly. Each second seemed to stretch thin, and then on and on. You're going through, and you step out quickly. I'm sorry, Eva steps out quickly, blocking the predators from their prey. Weapons at the ready. They take a step back in shock. And then something shifted in Eva's mind, and then in your mind, and I could picture, the watch suddenly clicking, and then Eva says to herself, "Go," and it's 2 strikes, 2 gang members down, and then replace the blade with the handgun. Another blink, 2 more dead, single trickle, and through the whole paragraph, going, "Oh my goodness, she just wiped out 4 people in like 6.8 seconds." I could see her stopping her watch.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thought that was interesting.
There's a reason for all that.
So the first book, Purpose. Second, Preservation. And what's the third?
Prowess.
Prowess. Okay.
So
Which isn't
not-
out yet.
it isn't out yet. It'll be ideally September 15th.
Okay.
So I do not care too much for alliteration, but I kind of felt this was necessary for her story. And then one of the spinoffs later on will be a 2-part series for her, and there's an alliteration as well.
Is that going to be like prequel type thing?
Yep.
Cool.
So, also in the book Purpose, Eva stumbles across a diary from someone, and she reads the pages, also notices a bunch of blank pages, and she's intrigued about everything that occurred with the War of Rebirth, and she finds articles, and she reads every article she can find, trying to figure this whole thing out. I found that interesting, how she starts to keep a diary to go with the diary and the blank pages. Are you a diary keeper, or is this just something that just kind of morphed into the book?
Yeah, I am not a diary keeper. I had tried a number of times as a kid, and I never stuck with it. But for this story's purpose, I felt it kind of necessary for that character to kind of be like, well, history is written by the winners is kind of how she thinks about it. So she's like, I'm the legend. I want to kind of put my story and continue what, the old times story kind of left off at. Like, hey, this is where it stopped. This is where it is currently.
Got it.
So this character, Eva, is she the hero of the story? Is she an anti-hero? Is she just doing what she's got to do to survive? Or do you have to read the book to find out?
I think it's all three.
I think it's a little bit of everything.
So she kind of goes back and forth, and
that's the thing with morally gray characters is, ideally survival is about the self first.
Yeah.
And her trying to navigate when discovering these two brothers, how much is she willing to give? How much is she willing to risk to kind of bend that,
like that.
And
they're going to slow me down. I should just keep moving.
Exactly. And then,
but I can imagine that.
Yeah. In the third book, things kind of get a lot darker and the gray area kind of grows a little bit. So,
is your Wanderer series about you?
Not about me per se. Eva is a character that I feel like I needed, some not necessarily fantastical side of, but some portion of that in my life growing up. She was, a personification of like the strength that I wish I had at the time of growing up. So I feel like that's what kind of makes it more real. But a lot of the characters are different pieces of me. And then how I would kind of see them in my world navigating the survival of, this dystopian world. So, yeah.
Your descriptions of the world throughout the book, you got one gang and another, these large gangs. You got people who are unarmed, who are farmers and those kinds of things. And I'm not going to talk about the different sects or whatever they call themselves. But, where was I going with that?
You asked if Eva was her.
Yeah, no.
And then
I feel like I need a drink. I was going somewhere. I'll come back to it.
Okay.
What has that ever happened to you while you're writing, where you're like, I was following a thread of this, and then I'm just like, where am I going with this?
I do that when I talk. I do that when I talk. I do that when I write.
Just like now.
Yeah.
Do you like all of a sudden find yourself writing a completely different book?
Yeah, sometimes.
I've done that before,
that's
like
kind
doing
of,
a short story, and I'm like, what am I writing about? This is just like a flow of my thoughts. This is ridiculous.
That's kind of how the third book started.
Yeah.
Because I ended up scrapping it before I rewrote it last year. Rewrote it completely. Because I was like, what the heck even happened? Because I like to let my characters kind of go, and I kind of think I let it go a little too far or something like that. And it was like, well, I don't know where to go from here. Let's just start over. So.
Oh, I know what it was. So as you have the development of all these different groups in the world around Eva, have you ever thought that maybe some of the things that you're describing and the storytelling you're making is something that could happen in our own world, or is it a little far-fetched?
I think that's kind of the idea. I want to blur the lines of reality and fantasy. I wanted to make it as real as possible to kind of immerse the reader as much as possible, so they can not just, latch on to Eva's story, but put themselves in that world and say, I could see this happening, maybe not necessarily to the same level, because you have to have some level of dramatics for people to like to read because they want a little escape from reality, but just enough to where it's like questioning, like, I could see this happening.
Yeah, that's actually a good description, because that's what I picked out in the book myself, is that it wasn't too much fantasy and it wasn't too much reality. It was a good mix of both. So you could have different genres of people that can read your book and still enjoy it.
Yeah, it's really hard to pigeonhole myself in a category or a genre, because like when I, apply for events and things like that, they always ask for your genre, and I'm like, it's kind of a little bit of like 3 different types. So I try to go with what I think people might most gravitate to, and then I kind of talk to them whenever I see them about it. So
when you finished, did you know you were finished? Like you're like, oh, I'm finally done, and I'm ready to publish this, or was it like, let me read it one more time and see, like, and I could see that kind of happening until, and somebody stepping in and be like, just print the damn thing.
So that's where I'm at with like book 3 right now. Is I'm doing that deep dive edit, which is like the first edit, and it is exhausting. Like I mean, I probably spent 8 hours on 6 pages. So, I mean, I know it's done. The story's done for her at that point. But that's where all of these spin-offs kind of started, is when I completed the 3rd book, it kind of unlocked that, writer's block that I had and opened up to 13 other books that I've already outlined.
Oh, wow.
So...
Are you a believer in the free form of your initial draft of your book or any book that you're writing, and then when you go through and do your first edit, that it's not valid until at least 10% is cut out of it?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm one of those that I call it word vomit. So like my first draft is literally just, bleh, on a page. And I find myself adding more so than taking away. So, for example, this book so far, the 3rd book, I think I started with like 89,000 words, and I'm up to like 93, and I'm only through chapter 10. And I still have a big chunk of where like a lot of the story happens. So I would imagine it's going to be even bigger. I do take some stuff out, but I don't hold myself to a certain amount. I just whatever is the best that is not too much for the reader.
Can I ask one question about book 2? Well, I guess I can because it's already out and published.
Yeah.
I know that some people on social media has already said with our podcast, because we advertise that you're going to be on it. Hopefully there's no spoilers because I want to hear it. So I'm not going to throw any spoilers out there. But one of the things that caught my eye reading book 2, you had one statement about the Wanderer, and it was one who walks in shadow behind footprints of blood. So is that the overall description? Is that how you would describe who the Wanderer is?
Yeah, I think a lot of people, when they have legends that they've never met, or the people that come across her end up, dying. I think that there's that level of, we have to fill the gap of what we don't know about somebody. And I think that title is very telling for her story in general, because in order to get to where she got to, she had to, kill a lot of people, or, her like line of morality is very broad.
Yeah, I like how the different tribes or groups would advertise for her.
Yeah.
Like billboards.
Yeah. Like everybody knows who she is.
That was great. As far as the books themselves, the Book of Purpose has a set of hands. I'm assuming artistically that's Eva reaching down to Jake and Tommy.
Yep.
And then your second book, Preservation, I haven't figured out which one this is yet.
Okay.
Even though I finished reading it.
Yeah. So if you notice, I don't know if you've seen the third one.
It's kind of like pushing away.
So it's her kind of holding. If you look around her wrists, you'll see like a shadow.
Okay.
So, okay. Yeah. So it kind of is the culmination of the theme of that book, where it's very dark and she's not sure what is real, what is not. If you notice in the beginning or the front of the first book, the top part of that cover is a little darker than the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And there's that smoke coming down through her. So that's kind of the idea, was to get darker with the trilogy as
so you
the
actually,
book covers go on.
You thought about these as you did you design these yourself? Oh, nice.
Yep.
Very nice.
Canva's great.
Yeah, that's super cool, man. I'm just impressed, like, first of all, deciding to take a project on this big and then finishing it. You know, actually saying I'm done, and it's done. And, because a lot of people, I mean, just writing one book or a short story or, starting a project that could be a passion project, but it turns into like a struggle to get through it, which I imagine you did have struggles with this. But then just to see it through to the end is just such a huge accomplishment. You know, yeah, I would think even if you didn't sell any books, if you decided, well, I'm not going to sell them,
Yeah.
but you did it.
Yeah, no,
You
thank
know?
you. I mean, honestly, I was one of those people growing up that like I would start these projects and
Yeah.
have these big dreams and never finish it. And I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. This has become my baby, and I've you know, grown to love it because I had finished it.
So when you made that decision, that when you said, I'm not going to do that anymore, I'm going to finish this.
Yep.
There's no going back. You told you can't lie to
Yeah,
yourself, right? You
exactly.
don't want to betray yourself.
Exactly.
And that's a pretty powerful thing when you just make the decision, like, I'm going to climb to the top of this mountain. I'm going to do this like we did the Katy. We said we were going to do the Katy Trail ride.
Yeah.
We were not going to back out. I told people, I don't care if I die out there. I'm not going to quit doing it.
I'd rather be dead than a liar.
Yeah. And, you know, just like I was jumping out of planes in the Army, I was scared to death. But I was like, I don't care. I'd rather die
Yeah.
jumping out of this plane than never jumping,
Yeah.
than be a coward.
Oh
right?
yeah. You got to teach yourself to do hard things by
Yeah.
doing the hard things.
So the discipline of, I'm sure there were days you felt like, I don't feel like writing today.
Mm-hmm.
And those days, did you have like your inner, you like scream at yourself, like, get up, get to your computer and write? Or like, how did you handle those days?
I don't think I wrote those days, honestly.
Really? You just be like, okay, I feel like I'm going to do tomorrow?
Yeah, I don't want to, like, you know, I feel like when you are hard on yourself, it makes it a lot harder to finish a work with the same level of, you know, quality that
Like it would suck the joy out of it?
Exactly. And I don't want to suck the joy out of it, because the reason I wanted to finish was like, what's the worst that could happen? My dream ultimately is to become a full-time author. That is the dream. And in order for me to do that, I have to publish books.
Right.
So,
yeah. There's only one way to do it.
yeah. So, I mean, I didn't hold myself to writing certain days at first. I've kind of created more of a routine to make it easier for me.
Yeah.
But to, you know, on the days I didn't want to write, I didn't write because I didn't want, like you said, to suck the joy out of it. Because that's the whole reason I enjoy writing, is to create.
So give ourselves some forgiveness when we decide not to do something.
Absolutely.
But keep your eye on the goal, keep moving.
Yep. As long as you pick up, you know, the next day or whatever, like, hey, when it does spark, stop everything you're doing and finish it out, or, you know, with the intention of finishing it.
So we mentioned it a couple times at the beginning, early into the show. You find storytelling as a way for healing.
Yes.
Can you expand on that a little bit? Like for me, I'm a prolific diary keeper. I've done it since I was 15 years old. And you go back and look at some of mine. Mine sometimes have scribbles with my pen on paper that are so deep that I'm ripping the pages and things like that. And, you know, I don't try and get rid of that because that's me. And that's an example of my emotion at that moment.
Yeah.
So how do you approach that? How do you take storytelling and adapt the healing process with that? How can you explain that to somebody who might be struggling?
Yeah. So for me, I grew up and I didn't have any friends. I found friends in the fantastical world of Lord of the Rings. That's my favorite trilogy of all time. My favorite writer is Tolkien. He was part of the reason I wanted to write something so broad.
Oh boy.
And I'm never going to hold a candle to him. I already know that. But I love him. But growing up in the situation that I did, I didn't really have a safe place to kind of, you know, let things out. I tried drawing, didn't work. I can't draw, you know, and this was a way of me taking the pain and kind of putting it somewhere else. And when you put it somewhere else, then you're not carrying it anymore. So it's kind of therapeutic in that way. And I find myself, especially with certain characters, when something happens, like, I mean, you can ask my husband. I, you know, was writing on the couch a couple months ago, and I'm like bawling my eyes out because of something that happened to a character, because it was just so visceral and so real at the time. But it's so therapeutic when it's done, because it's like, not only am I kind of sharing that pain in hopes that someone who is struggling might see that and be like, okay, wow, like I'm not alone, but simultaneously it's, you know, very healing for me to have that written out, because I'm not holding on to it. It's very freeing. It's like a burden, like, is gone.
Have you ever found yourself in that process of putting it all on paper, getting out of your system, but finding yourself going deeper and deeper versus I'm getting better and better, I'm getting worse and worse?
Not necessarily, no. I mean, there's obviously, that's not like the only form of therapy that I have in my life. I know that there's, balance is key to everything in my opinion. So exercise, I do restorative yoga. I have a therapist, all those things. But I think for me, there's, the author part of me that's like, let's see how deep how much I can screw up these characters. But then at the same time, just for me, just getting it out is enough. And I don't know if people are struggling even deeper than that. I could see where that would, kind of go that direction. But for me, not so much. Once it's kind of out, I'm kind of like, okay, this feels a lot better.
Have you ever held back on your writing for fear of you maybe offending or hurting someone, or maybe someone who's reading what you wrote could form a really nasty opinion of what they think you wrote about? Like maybe they're transliterating it really into, they think this is who you are versus you're just an author writing.
Yeah.
I did.
You carry blades around with you,
yeah,
Brittany?
all the time.
Well, I'm not talking about that perspective. I'm talking
just the
like
darkness.
how dark my.
Yeah, or even in today's political world.
Oh, triggering and things like
yeah,
that.
you're writing this and suddenly someone goes, "Oh my gosh, she's a racist."
Yeah.
I can't believe it. When really you're just it's part of the story.
No, I think that I haven't really delved in the story so far. I don't think, besides like murder and then the disclaimer I have at the beginning of the second book, which I'm sure that
would caught me off guard.
Yeah, I had to I had to do that to progress the story, as much as it hurt me, because that was another part of the story where I just I was bawling my eyes out, because as a mom, it's kind of a big deal. But I feel like I had to do it to, it would release a fear, but also as like a way of moving the character forward and pulling her so deep that she needed to get out of it in some way. As far as like offending people, I haven't really delved into that too much, I don't think. I do trying to tell everybody preemptively, like, hey, there's some really dark stuff in here, especially people that are close to me, because I feel like maybe they're going to judge me. Like my family, my sweet family members are like, oh, my sweet granddaughter, my sweet niece, and she's writing really dark stuff, I'm like, you have to be really cool, like with a lot of things. The first book, not so much. Second book, kind of. Third book, probably not so much. Okay. There's more plot twists than anything. But I have a feeling it's going to come up because it's a dystopian world. Things happen. It's kind of bordering sci-fi as the story kind of progresses too. So I kind of get where you're coming from there, though. Yeah.
Well, I've caught myself even doing it from a diary keeping perspective. Is going, oh, wait a minute. Maybe I don't want to write what's on my mind right now, because someone might read this and take a really bad opinion when it's not intended for anybody to read about or to open it up. I don't think hopefully anybody will.
Yeah.
And, at the same time you go, I don't want someone to form an opinion, a negative opinion of me, because this is who
Take
I
it
am.
out of context.
Right. But this is just what I was thinking that day.
Yeah, no. And I think that could be a form of therapy. Is you like, how do you, do you want to hold yourself back at that time? Because it's almost like you almost have to get it out, especially in a diary setting, because hopefully nobody ever reads it. But as a writer, it's a little bit different, I think. I guess luckily I haven't come across that too terribly much.
With art, though, if you're holding yourself back, because you're afraid to offend people, you're not really creating art. You're just creating like something commercialized. Yeah. And to me, like when I look at art, whether it's music or literature or paintings or something, and I'm looking at like the technical aspect of what they did. That's what interests me. I'm like, a pretty picture, okay, cool. But I want to see like, how did they do this? What style did they use? Yeah. How did they put this together? And the actual subject of it really doesn't mean much to me.
Right.
Sometimes I'll be like, I don't know what the big deal is. This doesn't look all that great. Like, some of Van Gogh stuff. I'm like, I don't get it.
But some people are like very much, wow,
But the history of his style that he brought forth, that's when I'm like, whoa, that's pretty cool. He started a whole movement and all that,
Yeah.
But it's the same with writing. I appreciate the craftsmanship of it. And I could read all sorts of different types of books. But especially when it comes to fantasy or sci-fi or dystopian, whatever, it's all about the characters in that, because it's like always chaos or whatever in the background. And the characters are what's the craftsmanship of how you create them. And some of them are going to be offensive to people. And it's like, whatever, dude. Like, get over it.
Right.
It's a story. It's not real.
Maybe there's a purpose for being offensive, too, is to elicit that response. Like, I want you to be, because then that means I did well.
Right.
But I think that's interesting that you come about reading in that way, because I've heard, some people are in it for the story. Some people are in it for the characters. Some people are in it for the, the feeling, the emotion that it evokes and that kind of thing. And it's kind of interesting as someone who writes to try to appeal to all of those types of people and set yourself apart from other authors.
You just got to do your thing. And if it sells, it sells. If not, you did your thing. Man, you did it. Who cares?
And maybe 20 years down the road, I'll go viral, like on a random day,
Well, and that's funny because that's how I actually picture the world that she's in. It made me think about it a little bit as I was preparing for the show today. When you describe in the book how she moves from one area to the next and goes into the city and those kinds of things. In my mind, the entire world that she's in, I'm picturing is no bigger than O'Fallon and Cottleville and St. Peter's and maybe stretching over to St. Charles, but it's not a big world.
No. The world expands about 7 books from here.
Okay.
I wanted to kind of like, give people, basically the way I have my spinoff set up is to where everything is going to come back to this trilogy in some way, shape, or form. Whether that's the Blades, that's Eva, coming in at that time, on that timeline.
Oh, so like those books will end
at some point.
Yeah,
like, hey, the next book that I'm writing, Eva kind of comes in towards the end, but it's mainly about one of the nomad elders, Masha. It's her origin story. And then the next one is about Gavin in book 2 and his origin story and how Eva kind of shapes him. And then, towards the next, the trilogies a couple, years down the road is Tommy's trilogy and how Eva shaped him to do his, to have his story, and his world kind of expands and realizes that Eva's impression even goes further than that. So
I don't know, how do you organize all this? It's like, for me, I would have like this whole entire wall, with Post-it notes and arrows connecting, just so I know, like, all right, pink is for this, yellow is this, and I would have to keep it all organized because I'm super anal about all that stuff. So how do you do that?
I mainly use Google Drive.
Okay.
And I have different tabs for the different stories. And as I come up with these ideas, or as I have an epiphany or like a note I want to write down, I open it up on my phone, write it down, and it goes in that box. And then when I get to write the book, I kind of clean up the outline a little bit, and then I just start writing. So
Man.
It's all up
But
here.
like the way the characters interact with each other, I'm sure there's specific relationships and different how they interact is much differently. 6 books from now, you're gonna have to you're gonna go and like reread and have to like
certainly, absolutely.
study
I haven't
your own stuff again,
and that's another reason I want to keep going. Like I don't want to take a pause or a break because I feel like I'm going to lose some of those ideas too. Yeah. I write enough, I think, in my outlines to be like, okay, I want, when she comes in here, this is the part where everybody's gonna be like, oh, that's why this happens. Okay. And then the rest is kind of free form on its own story.
Yeah, I would go insane.
I am insane.
I would go insane.
Are you a reader as well as a writer?
I am. I will say, as much as I write, I do not read as much as I write. It kind of, makes me sad that I don't have enough time to do both all the time, because like editing takes up so much time. But I do have books that I like to read. I have to like the reading style or the writing style. That's my biggest thing, is the story, but also the writing style is what I like to, I'm very picky.
Are you learning when you read or not?
It depends on what I'm reading. So I do read some self-help books. I read some fantasy books. I read history books. Like I have the history of I think Norse mythology that I had started. That was really interesting. It's just kind of a little bit of everything. I find myself learning, and then I do take like mental notes from certain authors, I think, too. Like, okay, I like how they did that, but I also want to keep my own voice at the same time. So yes and no.
Gotcha. That was one of the other things I was actually going to mention. I forgot. One of the things I liked about your writing style so far is you actually have a pretty good blend of minimalism and detail when it comes to the characters and the environment that Eva's in. Sometimes I could see where you're really trying to describe what's going on, and other times you just throw out a simple sentence or two, and then we have to use our own minds to figure out what the world looks like in her eyes.
I'm glad that you picked that up. I appreciate that, because that's kind of the idea. Because reading as much as I did growing up, you know, you have those people that'll spend 3 pages describing a tree.
Or The Hobbit.
Yeah, I love The Hobbit, but like, you know, I get it. For people who don't like
The Hobbit.
that kind of stuff, I don't know. Like that, to me, like that world is just so beautiful. I want to hear all the description.
Most people can't get past chapter 1.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, I'm rereading it like 17 times. But at the same time, too, I feel like the mood is also important of how you write it, you know? So if it's something that, okay, she's stopping and she's taking in the scenery, maybe I describe it a little bit more. But if it's a fight scenes are fast. I want the cadence to be fast. So I kind of like to blend that a little bit. So I appreciate that you picked up on that.
Do you struggle with your descriptors?
I actually struggle more with the dialogue.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I see that.
Yeah, every character's a little bit different, and like trying to maintain their voice in my voice. So, you know, there's some characters that are very meticulous. So not bordering to where it's like you're reading a dictionary or something like that.
I have some coworkers like that. It's like, I just wanted a simple answer. You don't need to give me an explanation.
Yeah. I'm one that's like, I can sit there and describe what you're smelling, what you're feeling, what you're seeing, and all this other stuff. But then it's like, okay, somebody goes to talk, and I'm like, am I talking too much? Am I not talking enough? Did I make it the right amount of pause? Like all of these other things. And book 3 is very tough for me because there's a lot more dialogue. So
Do you talk the dialogue out loud?
sometimes, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you use voices?
Sometimes when I'm by myself, yes.
So, it takes me forever to read books because I have to. Every character has its own voice. Like say I'm reading The Hobbit.
Yeah.
Like they all have voices
Yeah.
and their own
Oh,
style of
yeah.
speaking, and it's like a movie playing in my head when I'm
Yeah.
reading, and it takes forever
Yes.
to get through a book.
Yes, and I love that.
I love it and hate it at the same time. I wish I could just consume a book and be done with it.
Yeah, that's one of the slight disappointments of seeing a movie about a book you haven't read
Yeah,
yet.
you're like, no, he doesn't talk like that.
Right, because you read the whole book in that character's voice.
Like even historical books, like I'm reading about Lewis and Clark and their
Yeah.
expedition. They speak that because I'm like, okay, what? He's from Virginia. He lived on a farm, Old English. He would talk like this. Got him. And then this guy comes in who's a trapper. He's French, so he's definitely going to have some
Yeah.
kind of French accent.
And then the opposite
It's
happens
maddening.
when you see the movie and then you go back to read the book and you're like, you can only read it in that person's voice.
Right.
So, but yes, I do have different voices, you know,
Okay.
and different, you know, tonalities and stuff like that.
So is there hope to put this on the screen one day?
I would love that.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of people say that they could see that being a movie, which is like the ultimate compliment for me, because just getting a book out there is it puts you in a very vulnerable spot, especially when
Yeah.
you've been working on it for 10 years.
Right.
And I think that would be really cool. I think it would be different than what's out there right now.
Would you be like George Martin and like strictly control what they're doing and then eventually say, F it, you can do what you want, and then they ruin your story?
Well, I feel like like a lot of
I'm
times.
not bitter about it at all.
So I don't know if you ever heard of like the Aragon series. This was like
it's one
forever
of my wife's
ago.
favorites. Yeah.
Yeah, so I had read the first one. I read most of the second one, didn't really care for it. But the movie came out and I was like, yes. And they ruined the plot so bad they couldn't even make the second one. I don't want that to happen, you know? I want to have some control, but obviously I know like people make movies, are good at making movies, and obviously I want
but those
that.
people are like different artists. They're
Yeah.
different styles, and they read your book probably and envisioned a different
Exactly.
backdrop.
And that's the thing with like self-publishing versus traditional publishing is like my fear as in traditional publishing is you don't get much more than self-publishing. Like, yeah, you have to do more work for self-publishing, but at the end of the day, yeah, they maybe market your book a little bit better, but they take a bigger piece of the pie. And then if it doesn't fit their criteria of what they want, they're not going to publish it either. So it's like, I don't want to be held to those standards, and probably simultaneously.
But then they also own part of the rights
exactly
forever, don't they?
Something like that. I think the publishing company, and I mean, they get their piece, and I don't like to share.
Yeah, stay independent.
It's my it's my work.
You could probably hire an editor.
I could. Right? They're expensive.
Really?
Yeah. I would like to, because that's the worst part. I hate it. But I don't know. They're expensive. But I would like to, maybe one day.
And then I know I've talked to you about an audiobook before. I think you should do it.
I thought
that would be cool.
Yeah, I thought about maybe doing it, like throwing it out there for like some theater kids in college, like to do a project or something eventually would be kind of neat. I don't care to hear my voice or me trying to do like other people's voices in the trilogy. I was going to say, I probably won't listen to this episode.
I'm the same
I'll
way.
let other people tell me how good or bad it is, but I think it would be cool, because a lot of people are like, hey, I drive to work. I don't have a lot of time to read, but that would be great.
Yeah.
It's
like
just
we
another
do a lot
avenue.
of road trips, and we'll listen to an audiobook for hours.
Oh yeah.
Hours. How do you handle the has there been any official reviews of your book, published reviews, and people,
Yeah, so
how's that going?
Goodreads I think has about 8 total between the two books. I've gotten like verbal reviews from people. Actually, Steven, who you guys had on last week, he texted me the other night and was like, he's like, I finished book 1, I sighed, and then I picked up book 2. So, but overall, I think I have like a 4.8 star review between the two books. On Amazon, book 1 is 5 stars, which is awesome. Book 2 doesn't have any reviews on it yet.
Okay.
So I always tell people, if you do buy a copy from me, Goodreads and Amazon are the two main funnels. Goodreads just kind of connects people with other authors and books and stuff like that. Okay. So reviewing helps the indie authors more than people realize. So
that is one thing about your book series, is if anyone's going to start reading it, they need to understand you're going to have to read them all, because every single one ends like a Star Wars movie where you're going, oh my goodness, Darth Vader just floated away into space somewhere. What happens next?
Credits.
Because every single book is a cliffhanger.
That's the idea. The third book is kind of the same. I mean, there's results, but the third book does have something where you're like, oh my God, now I gotta read the next thing, because that's the idea, right? I need people to continue to read my stuff.
More.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So you write on a laptop.
Yep.
Are you a handwriting person at all? Ever? You said you use your phone to take notes.
Yeah.
On Google Docs, and then so it's all modern technology.
Yep.
Have you tried to do like voice to, like just talking and have it type for you?
No. I type very fast.
Okay.
So I don't write things down because I type faster than I write.
I've seen you type.
He's seen me. I have that loud keyboard.
Oh yeah.
at work, and it's like.
I love those.
Yeah.
You have to push it like a half inch.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, everything I write is important, So it's. I mean, I've been typing probably. I don't know what my actual words per minute is, but I want to say it's in the 150s.
Wow.
So
that's elite.
Yeah.
And you use good ergonomics while you're doing it. Obviously, I'm concerned about that.
Thank you.
In my profession, have the proper.
I can't sit still, so I got to be standing.
Standing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you have your laptop. Do you have a designated writing space, or you just kind of pick it up wherever you're at?
Pretty much wherever I'm at. So I have I have a big purse that can fit my laptop, so I take it kind of everywhere because I can write offline.
A piece of luggage.
Because you never know. Yeah, you never know when. I do have a notebook in there if something, if my phone's not working or I need to just write something down. But I do have a little corner desk in my guest bedroom that I do write in when my husband's playing video games, and I do write on the couch when we go camping. I'll take it with me to write. It's just kind of anywhere because you never know when like inspiration's going to spark or you have time to just be like, I'm just going to edit. So,
well, how do you handle distraction?
I worked the truck scale.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
there's a lot of distraction that goes with that job, and working that for 5 years. I'm really good at tuning most things out, I think, now. And then, growing up with a sister, I mean, with any siblings, I think you kind of have that level of,
Do you
don't
desire to
care.
have a little private little writing space?
Oh,
or...
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought about, I really want a she shed and just have it to where, like, that's where I'm going to go write my books. I have, like, the specific ambiance that I would try to, portray in there, and, light a candle or have, like, some, like a diffuser on or something like that, and just go out and just relax at night and just sit there and type away. I
That
think it
sounds
would
like
be
a great anniversary gift from your husband.
Yeah, it's kind of pricey.
There might be something to cramped in a corner, distractions going on, have that edge to writing as well. I'm sure some authors probably want to be uncomfortable when they're writing, depending on their style or whatever. I know, like Stephen King was doing cocaine and chain smoking cigarettes
For many years.
locked in the attic, and he was losing his mind up there.
Yep.
But
His wife saved his
when
life.
he quit all that stuff, his books changed.
Yeah.
And I'm not a Stephen King fan at all. And I've tried to read some of his books. I'm just like, I don't get it. But I appreciate the dude.
I like his movies.
Yeah, some of the movies are okay.
Got some good ones.
They always end up being like, what? A spider? What?
Haha,
But-
yeah.
But yeah, having that, being uncomfortable or not getting too comfortable to do your art, I would think there might be something to that.
Yeah. It depends on probably what I'm writing too, because like when you're writing chaos, it's almost kind of a great idea to immerse yourself in that.
Yeah.
But if you're writing about the insanity of silence or something like that, you kind of want to immerse yourself even further. It helps you like get into character. It helps you get into that mindset.
Well, it's kind of like when I go to the gym and I want to get a good hard workout. I don't want to be in air conditioned, everything's clean and sterile, and now the music's at a pleasant level, not black. No, I want hot gym, chalk everywhere. Sweat from all over the place.
Yeah.
Like that's why that's where I'm like, oh, okay, I can let go now,
Right.
and really go hard.
Yeah.
I would imagine that. Like, I'm just trying to put myself in your shoes. Like, if I was when writing, how would I want to do it? Would I sit here in my comfortable basement and dim the lights? And no, I'd probably fall asleep.
Yeah. And I think, when you want to be a writer,
Yeah.
like really bad, you're willing to write anywhere too.
Yeah.
So
okay.
it's like, if I want to get it done, I have to deal
It's
with what I
probably like
have.
an itch. Like,
Yeah.
I have to put this down on paper right now.
Yes. Oh yeah.
It's like it has to be an obsession,
I
right?
had to write the first 3 paragraphs of the next book yesterday because it needed to get out.
Okay.
So it's not great, but it's out.
So do you have
know?
a plan? So the trilogy is done. You're editing the third, and then these follow-on books, prequels and whatnot. Do you have a schedule of who gets done first, which
Yes.
one goes first? And okay.
Yep. So the next 6 books will be the Origin Collection, which is various characters. There's almost everybody except Eva gets 1 book. I don't know how long they're going to be, but there's a release order because that's how like the timeline's going to build too. So it kind of, I'm kind of curious to see like when all of them do come out or when all my books do come out, 15 years down the road, how people kind of organize them on this is how you should read it, because some people are like, well, if you want the characters' timelines, you got to read it this way. But if you want the timeline over all of the world, you have to read it this way and things like that. I think be interesting.
Let's see. Yeah.
I'm doing it the way I want to do it, but then I'm curious to see what the readers
Kind
do
of like
from
the
there.
Star Wars movies where like, no, you got to start at 6 and 7, 8, and then go 1, 2, 3 or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never seen them, but I think I did
I've
watch.
seen the main 6. I think.
I watched the first one. What's the number 1? Luke
The
Skywalker.
The first one is number 3. I'm number 4. Sorry.
Yeah.
The Luke,
like
I'm your father.
4, 5, 6, and then 1, 2, 3.
He kisses
Well,
his
that's
sister.
that's number 5.
That's 5.
That's The Empire Strikes Back when he says that to him.
What's the one with the little fuzzy guys?
Yoda.
No, the ones that are riding the motorcycles through the forest and.
The little bear-looking dudes.
Oh yeah.
What are they called?
That's the 3rd one. That's the Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Yeah, I fell asleep
When
that
they
one.
all show up.
They just knock me out, man. I'm like, I don't get this at all.
Like I've watched the first or the original 3 and then the 3 that came after.
Yeah.
And it's like it's okay. But I'm more of a Lord of the Rings person myself. Some people are like that makes me fall asleep.
But I think I worked at the movie theater, Warrenburg movie theater in Mid-Rivers Mall when the digitally remastered Star Wars came out, and it was the original movies but like Dolby Digital surround sound. And I was like, I hate all these people. They're lined up all the way out into the mall, and
that's why he doesn't
dressed
like
up in their characters. And I'm standing there in the back of the theater watching, and I was like, why is everybody so excited about this? Like, I don't get it. But I'm not, to each their own.
That could be Brittany's book some days.
Well, it'll probably be better than Star Wars.
Maybe.
So for a person who likes to write and has never published anything but has a desire to, what advice could you give a new author?
Just do it. I know it sounds, really cliche, but I mean, there's so many people out there that are like, you have to write a certain way. You can't use the word said, or you can only use the word said, and all these other things. And it's so silly. And I'm like, everybody has their own writing style. Find what it is, write what you're passionate about, write with reckless abandon, and just get it done.
Who cares if you use a semicolon properly?
That's exactly. Or the
just
M
say,
dash.
That's my style.
Yeah, everybody's so up in arms about the M dash now because
the what?
AI uses it. It's the 3 dash together. It's the long dash. AI, like ChatGPT uses it a lot. You can use it like in a sentence, like to break up like a chunk in the middle. So it's like part of a sentence, chunk, like M dash, chunk, part of the sentence. Yeah. So
kind of like the old days when they used parentheses.
Oh,
yeah.
That's okay.
Or maybe even a semicolon.
Yeah, that's what I would think. It would be a semicolon, right?
Yeah. It depends on the style, but people use it, and people will think, "Oh, I see an M dash.
Whatever.
It's AI."
Elitist scum.
And I'm like, "Why is everybody?"
They assume it's AI.
They assume it's AI, and they're like, "If I see an M dash, I'm not reading the book."
No, it auto corrects on when you're typing in Word. It adds the long dash.
Or maybe you just that's how you like to write. Like this doesn't make it.
Those people
AI.
are just scared that AI is going to write better than them.
Yeah, I guess.
Just do better, man.
Yeah, right?
But that was the thing with Mark Twain when he first published the Tom Sawyer series. There were some critics who pushed back on him because of the language he used, because he wrote dialogue based on the way the words sounded and the way that people talked.
Yep.
Yeah.
And now that's common practice.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Normal.
Yeah. But I mean, I always tell people, like, don't listen to those people who say they know how to write. Like,
yeah, just do your
just
thing,
do it,
man.
Just do it and get it out, and just say, hey, I freaking published a book.
So, did you have another question? I was going to ask something.
No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Do you have another event coming up? I mean, you've had 2 book signings or 3 that I've known of.
Question before you get to that.
Yeah.
Let's say I want to self-publish a book. How do I do that? Like, is it like, does Google have a service? Amazon have a service? Like, how do you self-publish a book?
So there's 2 main funnels that I use. One is KDP, which is Kindle Direct Publishing, which is Amazon.
Okay.
The way that kind of works is if you want to be on Kindle Unlimited, where people pay like the $7.99 a month and they can read as many books as they want. If you want to be part of that, your books, you cannot publish your ebook in any other form, on any other funnel. Oh, it's like exclusive to Amazon.
Yeah.
So as a new author, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to take advantage of that because most people are going to find me on Amazon. So my ebook is only available on that funnel, along with the hardcover, softcover. My other funnel is Ingram Spark, which is a wholesaler, but also works with Barnes & Noble, Walmart, Books A Million. But then like indie bookstores or small bookstores can go and buy like 20 copies at a discounted rate.
Okay.
So you have to buy your ISBN numbers, which is expensive. I think 100 of them was like $700. So, but if I'm writing 13 books, I'm going to need as many as possible because each format is a separate ISBN number. So you have to have one for the ebook, one for the KDP version of the paperback, one for the KDP version of the hardback, one for the Ingram Spark paperback. So it's 5 per book.
And that's how they catalog your book, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, and so you can pre-purchase the numbers and
Yes.
just kind of save them?
Yeah. So you buy them. You can buy them in like singles, or you can buy them in tens or hundreds, whatever works. So you buy them, and then you have like an account. And then when you go to assign an ISBN to a book, you have to go fill out all this information, like, hey, this is the book. Here's the cover. Here's what it's about. Paperback, hardback, like what format.
Sheesh.
And then, so
That's
yeah,
a lot of work,
it's a
man.
lot of work. But once those two, funnels, you have to. Every funnel's different of the way that they like the sizes of the books and the way the cover is made. So formatting's different on sizes, and so you have to use Canva and you have to do like specific resizing. It's a lot of work, but the main two is Ingram Spark and KDP. I know that there's others, but these kind of give you like a big swath of.
And they actually are the ones who print it out and bind it and.
Yes. Yeah, so you can buy author copies from either. I do like KDP just because of ease of use. They package really poorly whenever they send it to you. It's like, oh, I ordered 50 copies. It comes in 17 packages. But it's easier, and it's a little bit cheaper from Amazon to buy author copies versus Ingram Spark. But I know some bookstores will buy from Ingram Spark because it's available more so there, because I can only get author copies for myself through KDP.
Okay.
But it is a lot of work, but it's worth it.
Man, I guess so. I was just thinking about like you have to go and write a description of what your book, and it's actually like 8 inches by 4.5 inches,
Yes.
or whatever it is, and then
then
set your margins and make sure all that stuff.
The spine has to be perfect, like as
Yeah.
far as like size.
Because whatever you send them, they're going to print it. and-
Well, they will reject it.
Oh,
So,
okay.
what's nice about KDP is you can see it, like the margins, and hey, make
give
sure
you
it
a
goes over
rendering.
the bleed area and all this other stuff. So that I usually don't have issue with. Ingram Spark is like more archaic of a process. So it's like, okay, you publish what you think the size should be based off of something that you put in, and they gave you a template, and then next thing you know, it's like you get an email 2 days later, rejected, and
Okay.
it's like, but why? Tell me why. And then eventually, after like the third time they reject you, they're like, you have to make it this big. So it's stressful.
Well, I'd love to publish my own book, but no, I don't think so.
Yeah, that's a lot. I'll just pay.
It's as much work as
take
it is to write it.
50%.
You can pay me to
50%
do
of
it.
whatever
I'll
I
do it
make
for
for
you.
the rest of my life. Yeah, man. Dang. So Kevin, you had questions about book signings and
Yeah, when's your next book signing? I know, or present, booth. I know you got something coming up.
I don't know exactly. I put my name in. I had a couple people reach out to me, like the STL book events. They reached out to me to fill out an application. I don't think I got selected because they had too many above me for the next event in June. I told them I prefer to do there's one in September and one in October. That's more for like the thrillers, the dark fantasies,
Yeah,
like
it's
for
about- that's the-
Halloween.
that's right
and,
season.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I kind of I'm like, okay, I want to do those if possible. And I think I give them plenty of time to hopefully prioritize mine. I did connect with somebody at my last event that actually works at the Main Street St. Charles bookstore. So I'm hoping maybe I can reach out to them and do a book signing here soon. I kind of want to take the month of May off to continue to edit, because pretty much from the holidays, every weekend has been something, either for my books or something else. So, but I do like doing them. I thought I was going to be terrified, and I was, but it was still really fun. So,
And then when do you expect book 3 to be released?
ideally September 15th.
Okay.
This first edit's taking me a lot longer than I had anticipated, but I'm trying to work on it regularly to try to get that done. And then hopefully the next 2 or 3 edits are a lot quicker, and hopefully get them out, ready to go before September.
Well, where can people find your books and also learn or have more engagement with Brittany Hanson?
Yeah, so I'm most active on Facebook, which if you search Brittany Hanson with an O, author, you should be able to find me. Instagram, I'm pretty active, which is Brittany Hanson author. And then my website, which has all my socials, is BrittanyHansonWrites.com, because Brittany Hanson author was taken by a lady that makes coloring books. So on Goodreads, I have to email
Are you
them
an
because
author
they
if you just make coloring books?
according to Goodreads, yes, because they always put, like, whenever I put my book on there, it
Yeah.
goes automatically under her name. I have to email them because in the background, I'm Brittany Hanson with 2 spaces
Brittany, you should
versus
change
one.
Brittany
Yeah.
Hanson, the real author.
Yeah. The one that writes the books.
Actual author.
Yeah.
Wow.
All
And
right.
we'll also put contact info on our Facebook page so people can reach out to you through that and link
Absolutely.
over. Yeah.
It'd be awesome.
Yes, thank you very much for coming.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This was awesome.
Yeah, your first 2 books, I read both of them, finished book 2 yesterday. Really enjoyed them.
Thank
I think
you.
you're off to a good start and can't wait to see what the future holds for you, really.
Appreciate
I think you've got something going.
Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations.
One day I'll, never know.
Yeah, don't forget
Giving
about us.
you guys a nice,
Yeah, we're gonna find our character somewhere in one of these books and go, wait a minute, she said not based on real
As
people.
soon as they left the podcast
Well,
studio,
hold on a second.
decapitations.
If I kill you guys off in the books, it's fine. I'll get you a nice podcast area.
would
You
love
get
to
your
be
own
killed off.
office and everything.
I've always wanted to be a character in a movie that, like, one of those guys that dies instantly, and you're like, look, that was me.
There was me. But
All right.
awesome.
So, folks, thank you for listening. You can follow us on Spotify, YouTube, Facebook. You can email us at showmemk@gmail.com. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, all that stuff, comments. Our folks listening from the Netherlands, we appreciate you. I don't know who you are, but we love that you're listening regularly. And all the folks around this country.
Right.
That's it. Goodbye.
Peace out.